Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I want to talk about the first two literary exploits of Irwin M. Fletcher, aka Fletch, Fletch 1 and Fletch 2, written respectively by the Fletch creator, Gregory MacDonald. I newly came into the possession of these books, and I've always been a longtime fan of the Fletch films, starring Chevy Chase essentially, and have always been curious to actually check these novels out. And finally got my hands on them, and I've just been, pouring through them. I mean, these are probably some of the fastest books I've ever read, not least of which because they are action-packed. They're, the pacing is very tight, very fast-paced, but there's just a lot going on from moment to moment, beat to beat, and it's, a cleverly evolving and unraveling story in the case of both of these stories. Very much investigative, murder-based, and stuff like that, and mystery, crime solving, everything like that. Very much, crisp-witted as well. I love these books for the sort of comedic aspects. Of course, I'm hearing all through the books Chevy Chase's voice, as Fletch, as the character, even though these are supposed to be two of his earliest sort of misadventures. Of course, in Fletch 1, basically, he's only been working for the News Tribune, or whatever the newspaper is. I forget off the top of my head that it's called, for only a few months, and he really isn't finding a place at ease, to make a career for himself, essentially, and his editor-in-chief, Frank Jaffe's, kind of getting annoyed with him. So, he's kind of starting to wonder, what can I put this kid, what can I get him involved with, what can I put him in that is going to reap the most rewards for this newspaper? And he decides to sidle him up with the society pages, because there's this lawyer, essentially part of a big-time law firm, who is newly announcing that he and his wife are going to be departing with something like $50 million, handing it over to an art museum, that kind of thing, under somewhat, suspicious background. Doesn't quite add up, but what even makes matters worse is as soon as Fletch is handed this story to, interview this guy and find out what exactly is going on with it for the society pages, turns out this guy shows up for his morning meeting in the parking lot of this newspaper, shot dead, in his car in the parking lot. And so he's got, the normal investigative reporter with years on him, already beating him to the punch, trying to follow up on the story, what's going on with it. Fletch, being very inquisitive, he wants to get involved. He feels like it's his story. He has a right to it. But, of course, his editor doesn't want him to be a part of it anymore, because it is a murder. And it gets very interesting and very sort of trippy, twisty-turny in that he's also put on this background story to do with this sort of brothel in disguise as a sort of, massage parlor slash, workout kind of place where people are being exercised to ecstasy and all this stuff, which also is a feature story. Somebody slammed into the paper, getting them in all kinds of heaps of trouble, because they're not supposed to run stories advertising, basically something so salacious as this. And so it's basically a raucous misadventure where he's trying to find out who offed this attorney, whether this attorney was really going to be giving up this $50 million to begin with. The seemingly notable people responsible would be all his sort of estranged family members, but it ends up turning out to be the complete, just blindsided, most unexpected character, had to do with this guy's death. And for that, it's just a great way to begin the Fletch saga. Going into Fletch 2, I just recently completed this book, and it is a beautiful, just masterpiece. Essentially, Fletch, on his wedding day, gets a letter unceremoniously from somebody he's never met, claiming to be his father. Not the person who gives him the letter, of course, but the letter's been written by his father, who he has long thought dead based on the words of his own mother, who is a crime fiction writer in her own right, although not a very good one. And so essentially he is given as a gift for his wedding day, as a wedding present, $1,000, 2 trips to Nairobi, Kenya, Africa, where he is supposed to be meeting up with his father, who is very much alive, claims to be, comes to Africa sort of, basically they had originally planned to go to Colorado for a honeymoon, and he talks his wife at the last second, like they're literally in the airport, to go to Nairobi, Kenya, to meet the father that he never knew, and he doesn't even know if he believes exists. And as soon as he's there, just off the plane, he sort of surreptitiously witnesses a murder in a bathroom. And this just, leads him on a complete cavalcade of strange adventures and wonders all across, the continent of Africa. Basically, he's taken under the wing of the business partner and friend, air quotes, of his father, who's then put into, prison, essentially, for getting in a bar fight, allegedly. And so every step forward he takes to try to get closer to his father's whisked that much further away, or so it seems. What ends up playing out through the course of this story is just an amazing, tapestry of adventure and exploration of the history of Africa and all these sort of untold wonders that he and his newly-wed wife never would have experienced. And the man they spend their time with, becomes closer to them than any father ever could. And by the end of it, there's this twist that is just so beautiful, like a bow wrapping on the top of this gifted present that is this entire story. It's just an amazing, amazing read. And so, getting into the Fletch novels with these two in particular was just astounding to me. I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of them, and I couldn't more highly recommend, if not the first one, Fletch 1, Fletch 2, seek this out. If you like reading stories, if you like getting involved, if you are curious about African cultures and tribal cultures and mythologies and, sort of all those different aspects, they all make appearances in this story. And it wraps up with some, deep, profound affirmation that is just absolutely beautiful and astounding to me by the end. Completely unlike what I would have thought going in. And so, the Fletch novels, I'm off to a whip-bang-zoom, essentially getting into this whole saga. I've got a third book on the way as I record that I can't wait to get, in the mail so I can jump right into. And, I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you've never read the Fletch novels, I highly recommend you check them out. If you love the movies especially, but even more so, if you like being just sort of wowed by great storytelling and fast-paced humor and twists and turns and mysteries and things that get you, your mind jogging at a jogging pace, in any case, thinking. And, it's just a great overall reading experience. So, I hope you'll dig them. And otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me. I hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you later.